Good morning, my Real News Media TV family. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning, and I'm wishing for everyone a wonderful and a productive day. And in the news this morning, vendor freed after 4 months in custody due to cops' lie. A St. Andrew vendor who spent almost 4 months in custody before he was freed last week of robbery charge is making a special plea to the police not to tell lies on innocent persons. Kimani Pusey, 43, is also imploring the police to investigate the cases properly because innocent people who are falsely accused and locked up can be scarred for life. I have been severely affected mentally, emotionally, and financially by the terrible ordeal I went through, all because a policeman who told a vicious lie on me, he said. Pusey of a Washington Boulevard address in St. Andrew was identified by a policeman as the person who committed a robbery, but the judge said the policeman's evidence did not make the court feel sure of Pusey's guilt. The allegations were that on December 30 last year, Pusey was armed with a gun, robbed a taxi driver of $18,000. The taxi driver said he was not able to identify the robber. A policeman who was inside the taxi at the time of the robbery did not make any attempt to foil the robbery because of fear for his life. 5 days after the robbery, the policeman testified that he was on patrol duty when he saw the robber, who he identified as Pusey. King's Counsel Peter Champagny represented Pusey and during cross-examination referred to several inconsistencies between the policeman's evidence and the statement he had written in relation to the robbery. Pusey had denied committing the robbery and called a character witness. Champagny argued in the gun court that based on the inconsistencies in the prosecution's case, Pusey should be freed. The judge agreed and freed Pusey, who had been in custody since January. Commenting further on his ordeal, Pusey said it was only through the mercy of God that he managed to come out of the lockup alive. But one of the things he said bothered him was the fact that with the recent amendment of the Firearms Act, he could have received the mandatory minimum sentence of 15 years imprisonment, all because of a lie. Pusey said he was in custody at the lockup at the Hunts Bay police station in St. Andrew and shared a small cell with 12 other prisoners. He referred to the conditions there as deplorable and disclosed that cockroaches were crawling all over the place night and day. Horrible, horrible is how he described the situation in the cell, adding that no human being should be subjected to such deplorable conditions. The lies the policeman told on me caused me to lose my dignity, which I am fighting really hard to recover, but it is going to take time, he said. I will be eternally grateful to lawyer Champagny, who represented me and did an excellent job in seeing to it that I got justice, and the lies by the policeman were revealed in court, he emphasized. Pusey is adamant that he should be compensated for the wrong done to him, as well as for humanitarian, loss of dignity, and the financial losses. He said he was at a club at the time of the robbery and was nowhere in the vicinity where the incident took place. I think CCTV cameras should be installed on every street because more crimes would be solved and innocent people like me would not have to be falsely accused, Pusey said. Champagny has previously been noted for unearthing the inaccuracies in claims made by the police in other cases in the gun court. In April 2021, the attorney visited a crime scene while a trial was taking place in the gun court. This was after 2 police inspectors testified that they had searched 32-year-old bearer Raheem Panton and found him in possession of a firearm and ammunition. While at the scene, a resident asked Champagny what he was doing there, and when he told her about the case, she showed him a video of the incident, which she had captured on her mobile phone. When Champagny returned to court, and one of the inspectors was recalled for further cross-examination, on being shown the video recording, he admitted in court that the gun had not been found on the accused. Panton, who had been in custody for more than a year, was then freed. In response to the incident, the police high command promised to launch an inquiry into the matter with a view to having disciplinary proceedings initiated against the policemen. Police on the hunt for robbers who held up Western Union outlet in Portmore. The St. Catharines South Police have launched a search for a group of gunmen who on Saturday held up and robbed the Western Union outlet at the Portmore Town Center. It is reported that about 2:30 p.m., customers were conducting business inside the Western Union store when 4 armed men stormed the outlet. The news was informed that the men held up the security guard and robbed the cashier of an undetermined amount of money. Several persons inside the outlet were also robbed of cash and other personal items. The men then escaped from the plaza. JCTU joins in demanding House Speaker withdraw reprimand and apologize to retired clerk. The 11-union-strong Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions has thrown its full support behind the former clerk to the Houses of Parliament, Valerie Curtis, in calling for an apology and the withdrawal of a letter from Speaker of the House Juliet Holness to the now-retired clerk, accusing her of gross dereliction of duty. The powerful union group argues that the Speaker's public condemnation of the former clerk not only tarnishes Ms. Curtis's distinguished career, but also sent a chilling signal to other public servants. It's imperative for leaders to be exemplars of respect and to adhere to procedural rights, particularly within our legislative body. According to the JCTU, criticism, when necessary, should be constructive and follow due process, especially concerning constitutionally mandated positions. The Speaker has fallen well short of this standard, and her public apology ought to be forthcoming without a further delay, the unions stressed. In a letter to the editor, the JCTU said that the accusation of gross dereliction of duty is tantamount to gross misconduct. The union body said that the Labor Relations Code Section 21(2)b states no worker should be dismissed for a first breach of discipline except in the case of gross misconduct. According to the JCTU, the Speaker's letter suggests Curtis's dismissal, making it more than just an inappropriate reprimand. The letter issued to the former clerk was sent to 62 lawmakers in the lower house. In its letter to the news, the JCTU says it has waited patiently for a commensurate response to the numerous commentators' denunciation of the public scolding by the Speaker to the now-retired clerk. It is in this regard, resulting from a board meeting and a collective stance on the matter, the JCTU supports Ms. Curtis's impassioned request for an apology and withdrawal of the letter. The JCTU contends that despite the immaterial point made by the Speaker last Tuesday that the letter was not placed on Ms. Curtis's file, the withdrawal of the letter should be seen as both an apology and a retraction, acknowledging the misstep and restoring dignity to Ms. Curtis's name. The Speaker's letter disregards a constitutional separation of powers, violates due process, and contravenes the public service regulations, labor relations codes, and established protocols. The unilateral approach taken here undermines fairness and constitutes an abuse of power, the unions declared. The JCTU notes that despite widespread calls from trade union leaders, public commentators, the parliamentary opposition, and the civil society, urging Holness to retract her letter to the former clerk dated March 22, 2024, and issue a public apology, the Speaker has remained steadfast in her refusal to do so. This insistence persists despite commendations and tributes from both houses of Parliament, including praise for Ms. Curtis's strong work ethic, organizational skills, attention to detail, and 28 years of commitment to upholding parliamentary ideals. The March 22 letter from the Speaker accused the former clerk of gross dereliction of duty and bringing Parliament into disrepute, two extremely grave allegations. However, the JCTU said it is worth noting that Holness herself praised Curtis for her exceptional service on 2 occasions after the release of the derisive letter, 1 week before Curtis's retirement on March 26, 2024, and the other on April 24, the day Parliament reconvened. This apparent contradiction between exceptional service and accusations of dereliction of duty should not be overlooked, the JCTU added.